Okay,
Call to order.
I'm calling the meeting of the Open Space Greenways Committee for Tuesday, May 15th to order. If we could stand and pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, each of you have a copy of the minutes of the last meeting. Are there any changes or additions, deletions?
I move approval.
I'll second it.
Third.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Are there any deletions or additions to the current agenda? If not, then we can proceed. Lee, if you could tell us about the recreation. What's going on there?
Marina is filling up. I think the last time I heard we had all of the spots rented except maybe 4 or 5. So
Okay.
there are still a few out there maybe. Golf course is open and the leagues are beginning.
Okay.
And the course is in excellent shape. And we've done some collaboration with the garden clubs to have some flowers at the various holes and so forth.
Okay.
Centennial Farm is beautiful. They just had a major cleanup with a group with Luton and Equestrian Club and another group. They were in and they painted fences and rebuilt fences and planted stuff and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And I know that the Lutons have plans to participate in all the Island Fest and those kinds of activities. And of course, Island Fest is coming up very quickly, although that's not our purview. There's a separate commission that we always be working one of the tents or something.
Do you still have the number of volunteers at the country, at the water's edge?
Absolutely, yes, we do. That's why it's in such beautiful shape. They work in conjunction with the Roseville staff, you know. But yeah, they're doing that. And of course, we have the new pro who's being advertised, so the junior golf stuff will start happening pretty soon, I think. And I just noticed the firefighters, and I don't know if it's the firefighters and police or just the firefighters are having
Firefighters.
How much is that? How much is that?
No, I don't know. I don't know.
People that meeting in last night.
Do you know the date of it? June 9th.
June 9th. I was going to say
It's a
June
Saturday.
4th, but June 9th.
There's a flyer that Chief Duncan Murdoch has left in the township hall, or in the dispatcher's area.
Okay, that sounds like a
Jack wanted to
great
do it.
event.
That'll have the
at this
price of the
point,
tickets on it.
That, everything seems to be about as good as it can be at this time. Just hope we don't get rained out like we did last year. This season was pretty well decimated last year because of rain. We're keeping our fingers crossed that
Great.
Yeah, I noticed the sign is up. I seen it. Big sign, traffic. Around
Anything else?
West Road.
unless you have questions or anything else that I didn't touch on.
I announced last night at the township board meeting that Tim Rooney, this is his 25th year with the township. He's been the one and only department head. And
Did he get a gold watch?
I'll have to call.
What he goes through, he needs a gold watch. I'm telling you, he deserves it. Yeah.
he's totally dedicated.
Yes, he absolutely is. And so I think we have a full commission right now, which is kind of unusual for us. I don't think there's anybody who's left.
Pat, anything from the conservative?
A couple items, primarily involving the International Wildlife Refuge Gibraltar Bay Unit. It used to be so easy to say the nature area. That has opened as of last weekend with the Sunday afternoons, but there's a couple special events, and the next one coming up is actually this Saturday morning at 9. There's a hike to identify, they're calling it Birds at the Bay, and there's a hike to identify and observe resident birds and spring migrants of Gibraltar Bay. They say bring binoculars and field guides. I believe it is on the Conservancy webpage at ginlc.org on the calendar. There's a contact for any questions. It's Natalie Ray, 734-624-7993. She's done a lot of the tours at the Gibraltar Bay unit and does a great job. So Birds at the Bay, 9 o'clock this coming Saturday morning.
Does she do that gratis?
I do not believe so. I do believe we compensate her because she is a professional in that field. But I could be wrong about that, but I think we do. You have a question?
Yeah, is the Conservancy taking over like the stewardship of the Sugar Island or not? I mean, or is that...
I did not attend the most recent board meeting, but to my knowledge, that has not been raised to us.
Okay.
Considering that there's different purposes to the two different units, and in my experience with the Fish and Wildlife organization, when we entered in the memorandum of understanding between the township and specifically the Airport Commission, the Conservancy, and Fish and Wildlife, we had this memorandum of understanding, and a lot of it had to do with the purposes of the land that we were stewarding when it came to the nature unit. Considering that, from what I read about Sugar Island, and I'm no expert, is that they are limiting to hunting and fishing, that's entirely within the Fish and Wildlife Service capabilities of handling and their oversight. So I don't think the Conservancy is going to get involved, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
So, another activity going on is June 10th. That's a Sunday afternoon, well, morning and afternoon. The entry will be, it's a kayaking event, and the entry will again be through the Gibraltar Bay unit, but they're going to be launching kayaks from the airport, and there's actually 3 tour times, 11 for more advanced kayakers, 1 and 3 for beginning kayakers. There's 2 different prices because rental kayaks are available, and it's a co-sponsored event with the Conservancy, Friends of the Detroit River, Fish and Wildlife Service, and the Riverside Kayak Connection. And I recommend you watch the paper for more announcements, or there's also information on the GINLC website, and I think if you go to Riverside Kayak, you could also get any questions answered there.
Okay, great.
So again, the afternoon of June 10th. So, I mean, the Conservancy's really stepped up activity with the spring, but definitely wanted to make sure people were aware of those 2 events.
What time on the 10th?
There's actually 3 tour times, 11, 1, and 3. Yeah, Sunday, June 10th.
Anything else, Pat? Thank you very kindly. Pam, is there what's happening with the Township Board as it relates to the open space program?
Well, we didn't get the vote we needed to pass the trail policy, so that's still in limbo.
Okay.
And the thought was that I got from some of the talk around the table that they felt it should go to a vote of the citizens, whether they want trails or not. And I'm thinking, I'd like to suggest that when this proposed new version of our open space open space and trail guide goes out, that we're going to talk a little later, is that maybe there could be a postcard inserted and these questions that we asked 10 years ago. Do you want to keep the open space natural and undisturbed? Do you want to establish nature trails making open space more accessible? Or do you want to establish hard surface pathways accessible to hikers and wheelchairs? And then do a survey rather than...
Well, we'll talk about that when we... As far as that...
But that was the thinking of the board, that they would
Would they put that on the ballot? On the November ballot?
Well, as I remember ballot issues, it can't be an advisory vote. It has to be...
This or that.
Okay. All right.
So I don't know whether that will materialize or not. And
so it couldn't be on the August ballot.
No,
Too late.
No, it's too late. Okay, anything else, Pam?
that's all for now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you very much. As far as property,
Well, maybe yes. We had in front of the Township Board as public comment, a gentleman who felt that the property next to him, which is owned now by Nature and Land Conservancy, was going to be a kayak launch, and there were strange people going in there. And his reaction to me was, they're strangers scaring my daughter, and I'm thinking that's not the purpose of the Nature and Land Conservancy to put a boat launch there.
No.
So they're trying to negotiate an agreement between the homeowner. The one on the south side of the property is perfectly happy to have it some greenery in there, and some trees, I guess, have gone in there, shrubbery, but this one neighbor complained to the Township Board that it was going to be misused.
right. Okay. Anything else?
That's it.
So, I have nothing new as far as property acquisitions is concerned. However, I did receive a very disturbing phone call last week from a resident who stated that there was a person doing some rehab work on a house, and it was a developer or contractor. He observed it dumping trash or debris onto open space land. I immediately called the police, who, first of all, he called me on a Monday, and I said, "When did this happen?" He said, "Well, it happened on a Saturday." And I said, "Well, do you know who the contractor was?" And I said, "No." So I did call the police, and I asked them to go over there and investigate and find out what was going on and to talk to this individual. I called the police again to find out if they had concluded their investigation. They said no, but I'll follow up on it. Needless to say, I was absolutely livid when I discovered that there was a contractor who had the gall to dump whatever he was carrying for the front end loader onto the open space property.
Which open space was it?
It was the open space located on the west side of thoroughfare between Church and Horsemill.
Oh, on the northern end of thoroughfare there,
Yes.
north of Middleton Court.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I hope the police are doing a little bit of investigative work on that, because my first reaction was something that I can't put in the minutes, but anyway.
Or on camera.
Well, we had this problem before, people dumping up in the, where the nature center is at the...
Well, we have to put a stop to it.
Yeah, they have to be fined.
But the problem is...
I will follow up.
But the problem is that you have to catch him doing it.
Well, I understand that.
Okay.
But if we find out, if he can report he saw a person in the act, and if we find out who that developer was, he's in trouble.
Was the neighbor that saw this happen, did he see a truck, a name on a truck or anything?
I think it was, no, there was no name on the truck, but maybe he can find out through checking with the home was vacant at the time, do some investigating, or find out if he was doing the work on that house, who was he, okay, and when did it happen. So I don't want to let this thing lie. We're going to set an example here. Okay? So forgive me for getting a little bit uptight about it, but it absolutely infuriated.
It's so inappropriate.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the action items. Woody?
Dump the jump went well. We ran out of buckets. They only gave us 8. We had no cement. Couldn't take cement. We had people coming out our ears that wanted to dump their cement.
Okay.
So the brush got loaded. We dumped it on the floor after the first day. So everything was full.
How come we got less?
Huh?
How come we got less dumpsters?
That's all they give us.
They being Waste Management?
Waste management.
Yeah. They can give us what we want, but I think it was a move to last fall was not was was not as successful as we wanted.
Well, they saved up for the spring.
Yeah.
Didn't we have rain?
Well, you would
was in the
kind
spring.
of expect that though, Woody, because, a lot of trees have branches and that die off and fall.
This was a lot of new stuff. This
Well,
was
and what my
leaves on
husband
it.
told me, my husband worked Sunday afternoon, and he said when the big stumps and stuff were pulled out of the dumpsters to make room in the dumpsters, people were taking that, seeing it as wood they could burn. So the yard waste, in terms of the branches and stumps and stuff,
I talked to, I was down here on another issue, and I did stop by and talk to Barry Sedlock, and Barry said, well, there was some, but nothing that we couldn't handle. So,
I understand that, but, it would have been nice to...
it would have been nice if we had a couple more dumpsters.
Well, the metal, all the metal, at least went away with 3 people.
Oh, it did.
We saved it until 3 o'clock, and nobody in Rosita wanted it, so
That was
we
good.
gave it to somebody who needed
Okay.
it so they could make a living.
One thing I think we should do, based on one of the comments you made, I think I would like to contact Waste Management ourselves and find out under what conditions would they allow us to accept concrete. I think that would be worth
How
it.
about black bag?
Black bag.
behave. He's saying if you cover it up, they're not gonna, no, we
Well,
need to...
it's the weight issue. That's the weight issue. In other words, let's contact them directly and find out. We had this issue. There was a lot of people.
Is it
that-
a couple smaller dumpsters? If it's about weight, and maybe you just need to have
That's
the smaller size, a single, and once
I
it's
think
full,
it's
they
worth
can't do
asking
any
the
more
question.
cement, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, Woody, thank you again for all your efforts on that.
Good here.
Someone was saying that, people get upset for dumping the stuff into the water, but you got Wayne County comes up and throws it down East River Road when it's shallow, when the land might be going away, they're throwing it in over the top. Well, I'm sure they're doing it on West River too.
Well, let's find out.
The short areas.
Yeah.
Well, we might not have a road.
I mean, as a fill kind of thing.
Yeah, we won't have a road,
Well, it's actually acting like a breakwater.
breakwall.
It stops the soil from eroding out.
Well, let's call it Waste Management, and maybe we can get maybe a couple of small dumpsters, and or else have some way by which we can control the weight of the material going in.
There's not any way you can control it.
Well,
Frankly, you're right,
handle it
Woody.
in smaller dumpsters.
Maybe a smaller dumpster. Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Well, it's a smaller dumpster, you need 3 or 4 to fill them up to the top.
Well, one of the things that's bad, that is that a lot of people go ahead and break up their own concrete and pour it, and then they end up with, 2 or 3 or 4 wheelbarrow loads of concrete that they have no way of getting rid of. But you can put that out in front of your home, and Waste Management will take it away.
They will?
They will take broken up concrete?
What's that?
They'll take broken up concrete?
They'll take it up if you put it in
Small increments?
in containers that are manageable by picking up. You don't have to have a
might be
lift
better.
truck or something to pick them up. But I mean, if you put, like you say, put them in a
I think
black
it's
bag.
worth calling them and...
No, he said black bag, I didn't say the black bag.
But the idea is you can put it in a manageable size.
Yeah.
And if you put
That's
it
the key.
Yeah.
Let's call them, see what...
No problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah, you can
Okay.
negotiate it.
So again, thanks, Woody. Appreciate it, and hopefully we'll be able to have one this fall. Okay. Okay, Darrell, let's talk about this trail on
Okay,
Albemarle Meadows. Now, for
Are
sake,
you in marketing? I just...
well, it was, he marketed, would you market it to Silver Heads, or was it the block line?
I've marketed everything.
Okay.
Sorry, didn't
I
mean
would
to get us off
market
track.
this airport if I had a chance to.
Okay. All right, why don't you tell us where we stand on this trail?
I designed a trail to go into Albemarle Meadows, and it's a mulch trail, so we'd be using all natural.
Now, for sake of clarification with the people in the audience and those that are in TV land, Elmar Meadows is now the new acceptable word for the former township dump, which was transferred from the township-owned property to the open space program.
Sure, that's them, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
And transferred to me.
And it was, and Darrell, when he came on board, says, I want that piece of property as my, to oversee. So, to make a long story short, there's a lot of material in there that, although it's overgrown, there's still some stuff left in there. So what Darrell has proposed is to put a trail in there so that at least people could walk through there.
Right, stripping mulch and go on the outside perimeter of it.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead, Darrell.
Okay, as you see here, we would come in right here at the point. We'd make two trails starting out, two sort of a V shape, so you can enter from the north and you can enter from the south.
Yeah,
I don't think the red's gonna show up. Maybe it will.
no.
I don't know if it will or not.
It's colored.
It might.
Darrell?
Yeah.
We're going to put this on the overhead monitor, and I think...
Okay, see what it does.
Can you
show up.
You got to turn them on first.
up on top?
What on top?
He pulled something off on top.
There it is.
You got that part. Okay, gotta get to the other part.
Thank you. Oh, it's yours? Yeah.
Because we don't know how to work that computer.
Boat Club. That's right across from Elmar.
Actually, I think he has it.
I didn't see it.
And the entrance to...
Now, is that being shown on cable?
So the trail will start right in front of that.
So do you actually want to stand up and point to things with a pen point or something?
Yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
Bring the pointer with you.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get out of here.
You're lazy, Green.
Lee, here, share with me here.
He's gotta get out of the way. So she can move around.
Oh, that's better.
Pat, can you see it from there? Or can't you?
Oh, now you see the red?
You can see the... Yeah, you can see it very plain.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay,
let her rip.
Okay.
the trail from the south would enter right here, parallel to the road.
Okay.
That
And then
isn't
from
showing
the
up.
north, it would start in right here.
I was thinking you wanted just here on the,
Yeah.
They can't, they won't see it.
I'm getting experience here.
Yeah. This is TV,
Okay, here we go.
TV we're watching.
Okay, the trail would start right here, south,
okay?
and come in, and the trail from the north would start on the opposite side, sort of form a V, and then it would follow the perimeter of Elmar Meadows right around the water here, and come all the way down to the north here, and make a complete circle and come back out again.
Okay.
And the nearest home is way over here, and it wouldn't affect any
Well, we
property.
still have to notify them.
Wouldn't even,
Doesn't make a difference, you still gotta notify.
Why?
it doesn't matter.
The only policy we had, the township board shut down.
Yeah, I know that, but
It's
it's
out
not
in
a
the middle.
policy that
The trail's out in the middle of nowhere. It doesn't affect anybody.
If we, you're right, but if we let them know we're gonna do it, you know. Now,
Are there trees to knock down in the way, or is it all
There's one
open?
dead one when we start out, and that's the only tree.
now, how long is that trail gonna be, Darrell, approximately?
It is about about 3/4 of a mile.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So it's going to be right going along the edges. I think, Lee, if memory serves, you and I traipsed through that piece of property a number of years ago.
And it won't affect any vegetation.
And I think after going through the jungle, we came out on this meadow, which seemed to be...
And you're not using dirt, so, and there's not going to be anything transferring into the...
Darrell, when did you begin work on this?
Well, whenever I can get the material.
Okay.
Have you considered pulling in scouting groups to work on this? Or what are you thinking? I mean, are you thinking just having,
Well, first of all, once we get, I bought a tractor for this project.
Must be nice.
So,
We got a house.
so anyway, I'll buy it. I'm in marketing, as you know, so I'll buy it, and then whatever it costs when I sell it, that'll be the difference that
okay.
the township has to pay. Is that agreeable? And then the fuel maybe, it'll probably amount to nothing.
It's got a front loader on it?
Yeah, front loader, back blade, diesel.
Did you talk to Barry Sedlock? Because he said he could help with fill dirt, but you're saying you don't
You don't
want
want to
dirt.
use fill dirt, no.
How about mulch,
Mulch,
compost?
just strictly mulch.
Compost.
Wood chips, yeah.
Now, I've already told Darrell that the township, I talked to Eric Thiel, has got a huge pile of chips.
Yeah, they've been turning it down.
Yeah. So, if you need chips, to get out, Darrell is leaving the end of this week.
He's gone.
He's still here.
Oh, yeah, he moved yesterday.
Huh?
He moved,
He was here this evening. I talked to him.
today?
Yeah.
Yeah, they think as well.
Yeah.
Friday.
So, as far as getting chips is concerned, all you have to do is raise the...
Yeah, they're plentiful.
Yeah. So
Has your
that-
tractor got a loader on it that you can, oh,
When you say that it doesn't do
Trail
much, it doesn't cover much in the way of vegetation, are you building on an existing trail bed in a way, a deer trail, or
No.
is it grassy,
It's
or what's it
all,
like?
It's all junk. It's all junk.
Junk.
glass?
Yeah.
Bottles,
So we'll build it up anywhere from
55-gallon
2
drums.
feet to less than a foot, you know.
If you want to walk it, you'd have to be very careful because you'd fall into something that's going to...
So we think mulch is enough to
yeah.
keep everybody safe?
I hope so.
Oh, yeah. Well,
That's the safest anybody else is walking through.
we can
One of our
put it
forests.
Or one
as
of our
deep or
public
shallow
dumpsters.
as we want, you know, you can room with
To
it.
fall on something.
I wonder if we do want some kind of, I realize it complicates things, but almost a cap kind of thing of earth underneath the mulch.
No. Then we're getting into...
But you're seeing grass now?
Yeah, but I
I
can,
mulch on top of it.
yeah, I can show you what I've done and how it looks.
I
when it's
think
finished.
with, Pat, what you'll have to do is, this will have to be an add-on thing all the time. You just can't put the mulch in there and expect that you can leave it there you're going to have a trail for, 5 years. But you'll have to be adding more to it all the time.
It'll last 5 years. Once you
if those
pack
of
it
you
in.
who,
Compacted,
Yeah, it'll last.
Those of you who have not been down to this area,
I need to get down there.
and let Darrell know, and Darrell, take it
Yeah,
through
I'll
it, show him what we're doing, okay?
Do you have a finish up, finalize, done deal date?
To see.
A date, if you want to know.
A date. I wouldn't propose a finish date, because it just depends on the help you get, right, Woody?
And also you gotta depend on the township.
And the township,
They gotta make a decision.
right?
On what?
On a finish date on this, or...
Don't they make the decision on trails?
We don't have a policy.
I know that, but they still have to go through them.
Fine.
Okay.
We don't. There is no policy.
Okay, so we just do the trails?
We're the Open Space Committee. That area is in such a condition where it's
it's a dump.
it's unsafe to walk. By putting us, although there is some nice areas in there, Lee, as you went through. Okay, so let's let Darrell do what he feels he has to do here.
Okay, I can
And we'll see
imagine
what
it's
happens.
will something hit the fan when we start?
Well, so be it. Okay.
That will prove the need for a policy.
Policy, procedure, and everything else.
So,
Well, I can't
think
wait,
if anybody-
because I know it in the old
If
days.
somebody else wants to go down there and look at it,
Yeah, we can do that.
you can show them. You have this on a drawing as well, I believe, do you not?
No, I haven't got a drawing of it.
Okay, but
this is just...
that's what you propose. Now, is this the final location, or is it going to be something a little bit different than this, or will it be?
Well, you have to kind of play it by ear because you don't know what's high, what's low through here. You know?
Okay, so you might have to
If there's
deviate
water
from that a little bit.
If there's water around in there, then you'll have to go around the water.
Okay. I think we will for all of us, any of us who have not gone there, Daryl, contact Daryl, maybe the two of you or three of you.
Sure.
Go through it. And if there's any comments we want to make for not changes, but any suggestions, we can do so. Suggestions in terms of help that you may need, physical help.
Right.
You know, right now it's pretty well a one-man show, two-man show, right?
Right. I got two other guys with tractors that are going to volunteer to
Okay.
service too, you know.
All right, let's see what happens then. Okay. Anything else, Daryl?
That's it.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much for that update, Daryl. Now,
And all the work you've put into it.
yes, absolutely. Now, the last thing we want to talk about is the brochure. We haven't done anything on this as yet. What we're going to do is we're going to update the brochure that was published back in 2004. And the reason we're going to do that is because we've added pieces of property since that time. And also what we're going to include in here is 4 trails that have been, that we have. And the 4 trails are going to be in the back. We also have, it's going to be a recap of the trail guide that we published back about a couple years ago. So we're going to combine the open space guide, which shows the location of all the open spaces, up to date, a little description of them, and then we're also going to have a trail guide, which will be, let's see if I can find it here. Sam, do you have a copy of the trail guide? I don't.
Yeah. Oh, it's attached to,
Oh, I have it right here, I'm sorry. It's looks something like this. It's a trail guide, only we're going to include it as part of this booklet. Now, there's the trails that we have are, of course, the Bird Sanctuary Trail, the trail at the Playscape, Pam, which you had the Boy Scouts put in. There is a trail that we have on Meridian, just north of the township, which goes from Meridian all the way back to about almost 1,000 yards back into the that area, almost the East River Road, along a creek bed, and then goes this way. So and then we're going to also include the proposed trail that Darrell is going to put in on East River Meadows.
Isn't there a trail coming out of the horse farm
Yes, there is.
to the Meridian?
Yes.
Right.
Is that the same one you're talking about?
No.
That goes from Meridian to Easter Road?
No, the trail in the horse farm is a trail that's been there for years. It's the
Manchester one.
no.
It's like, that's a really...
Centennial Farm. Centennial Farm.
It starts with over the bump and...
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts over the bump here and goes all the way back almost to East River.
Well, no, is that the one that goes to the farm? Or is that the one that goes to East River?
That's the one that goes close to East River.
Well, which one goes to the farm then?
The Centennial Farm Trail is also the one that you oversee. That's the trail that goes from the Centennial Farm back into the Centennial Farm open space area.
It doesn't go to East River Road?
No.
Yeah. Meridian, I mean?
No.
It ends at a residential area, and one of the residents there is manicuring it, like natural grass is growing in there, and he's actually mowing it
Yeah.
and keeping that
The
trail
residents who live, who are adjacent to that area are actually keeping,
really taking good care of it.
That one's on Manchester and taking care of it? Behind them?
yes,
Okay.
Yeah.
I was talking about the same thing.
yeah. So,
There's no trail through the new open space we just bought, the Cohen.
that's all one, I'm going to treat that as one continuous open space area.
Okay.
Okay? And that whole open space area we're going to call Manchester Woods. It's going to be 153 acres,
Okay.
okay? And there'll be one piece, and there's a trail through that piece of that area already. And that trail runs from Meridian all the way down to about almost 1,000 yards back into the woods along an old creek bed, and then the trail turns to the north, makes a small loop and comes back. So those are now the question is, what we plan to do with this booklet, we're going to do something different. We're going to mail it to every resident on Grosse Ile. It's going to cost about 20 to 25 cents. It's called a direct mail concept. It's something new that the post office is doing. I have the stamp here, and all I have to do is put the stamp on the brochure, and it'll be sent to every resident.
We put it on or they put it on?
They put it on. Not we.
Okay, when
They.
we talked, it was we,
No,
and it isn't going to be we.
it's going to be they.
Oh, what do you love?
No, we did that before. We did this with a,
Lick and stick party?
Yeah.
No, we're not going to do that. Now, what we have, we talked about this before. I think what I'd like to do is just go ahead, give this to the printers, have them prepare a nice draft of it, and then review it and wordsmith it.
I have some suggestions, just looking through it, the rough draft here. Shall I give it to you? Just
Give it to Gary,
okay.
and then we can make the changes on it.
Okay.
Okay? But if anything, this first page I'm worried about because maybe we should try to shorten it up if we can, so we can get it on one page.
Right.
So what's your, do you want to wait until you get a nice draft and then review it at
Yeah,
that time?
I think I would, just because it is so marked up.
is.
But the other thing is, if I can get a larger version, you said our printer has a version of that map that's in here now. You're going to the same folks who did this brochure originally, right?
Yes.
If I could get a larger version of that, then I could mark up the pertinent conservancy properties. So,
And the reason I'm hesitating is because Raines and Associates has updated that map, and I'm trying to find out, in my mind, does Carol not have a copy of that updated, or does Raines have it?
you want me to call Carol?
Yeah, call Carol
Okay.
and or Raines and talk to Sahil Dabak.
How do you spell the first name?
S-O-H-I-E-L.
Ask them if you want a copy, the updated copy.
Okay.
Now, that updated copy should be just like, should be this
Yeah,
here,
that's what I'm looking for.
updated, showing all the current open space property.
Will the Nature and Conservancy have a different color?
That's what I would suggest.
I think it's going to be, I think what they had last time, the open space areas are marked in solid green, and my thinking is that the conservancy areas would be just like we have it here,
Like a crosshatch or something.
a crosshatch. Okay?
Okay.
So, Darrell, why don't we make a trip down to Whipple Printing and see what they can do for us in terms of the draft.
Okay.
Okey-doke.
And,
Would it be appropriate then to insert a postcard with
no,
the trail
no, the
question?
reason is because if we're going to use this, that's all we can have. Okay, no postcards, because then the cost would go up by a factor of about 4 or 5.
Really?
Can't have an insert with it?
Because of weight, or?
Weight is consideration, but what you're going to do is ask them to return the postcard. And if we put a postcard, you have to put postage on it, unless you have them put the postage on it. Why don't we just put a message in here and have them respond by email?
That's a good idea.
Is that right? Can we do it by email?
Sure.
Okay.
Because I just can't see a millage or a ballot question. But I think we should know it's been 10 years, and I think people are leaning more towards outdoor recreation.
Well, we think it is. We don't really know at this point.
We don't know. But
Can I suggest we address this as its own agenda item at the next meeting? Because I think there's a lot that we do need to discuss as part of that. And I think it's an important issue instead of, tagged onto the brochure, I think.
Okay. Let's get the brochure out. Your point's well taken, Pat. Okay, you want to talk about the trail issue at next meeting? Okay, so if nobody has any objections, Darrell and I will sit down with Whipple, have them prepare a draft, and then have it back to you for
Next
a
meeting?
real good look at it.
Yeah.
We'll try to have it by the next meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
Pam, your comments? Do you have them, or did you give them to me?
I gave them to Darrell.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
right here.
Okay.
And we'll go through that if you want to. And then I can.
Sure. Okay. Is there any comments? We go around the table. Darrell?
I'm good.
Art?
No, except that I would like to see something done in regards to getting all visible down trees off of properties that are adjoining main thoroughfares. I mean, we look like we're the victim of a hurricane or something.
It looked like that for years.
What's that?
It looked like that for years.
I know, it's looked like that for a long
It
time.
will look like that years to come.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be never ending.
I understand.
And we're going to run out of money. We keep running
I
into
would have
trees.
to, do it in the fall.
Yeah, but the idea is that...
I know what you're talking.
But, all you have to do is go down Meridian Road, okay? And if you go from Grow Road to the Free Bridge, you could probably fill up,
700 truckloads.
well,
At least.
quite a few truckloads, because they're dead trees, and I'm not talking about little ones, they're, 8, 10, 12-inch diameter. It just looks kind of like a neglected area.
Just on the open spaces?
No,
No, you're talking about also
they're
township property.
There's part of it's easement property, part of it is private property.
Okay.
But the idea is that it just looks like nobody cares.
You go north from Grow Road on the left, that's airport property. It's all dead trees. A lot of it's been pushed together, and it looks like crap. But you're going to lift all that stuff and put it in a dumpster? We'll be doing that for a long time. A lot of money.
We started out making some effort to clean up down on Parkway, down at the north end.
Yes.
And we made some progress. But I think that same effort needs to be extended to cover all areas that are visible from the main streets.
How far you want to go back?
I mean, in the woods? As far as you can see.
No, it's too far.
Well, if you get off in the wintertime, it's not quite as bad, but in the summertime, if you get off about 150 feet off the road, you wouldn't be able to see.
Let's get an estimate how much it's going to cost, 150 feet off the road from Row Road to Manchester. And we're not going to count Roseville Country Club because they're going to have to do their own. Well, let's get an estimate of what T&T would charge us before we jump.
Well, but, there's, the other possibility is to do what we started on Roseville Parkway. And that was to open it up to letting citizens take it off.
That's what we should do.
We've done that.
That's what we should do this fall. Start that.
But just from a sheer staffing person power standpoint, we can only do so many of those.
We've only got it.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is, make that wood available to people who, because there are a lot of people that burn wood.
But I think we still need to do it on a controlled basis.
Absolutely.
Then we're only going to have a certain amount of people. We're only going to have, we'll say, 3 groups, or maybe 4 groups going to come in. They're only going to work a day, maybe 6 hours at the most. You're going to tie a lot of years up.
Well, my guess would be, if you...
I don't mind doing it, it's just that...
My guess would be, and I say this only from going back like 30 years ago, we had boys on the island that they made a pretty good income by cutting dead trees that were down. They cut it up and they made firewood out of it and they sold it.
Yeah, but times have changed.
Well, but they were
still have them out there.
Huh?
You still have them out there.
And we've opened it up to make it available to them.
Yeah,
But I'm talking about making it available to not people that,
Only a few.
not people that would go in and do the work, cut it up, split it, sell it to somebody that wants to buy it for their fireplace. In other words, not just take it home and put it in your fireplace.
Well,
The idea is that you take it and sell it and make a profit out of
I
it.
think we should,
Okay, we don't get enough people. Do you want to go off island for people? If you want to clean it up, we're not going to clean it up with 3 sets of 6 people.
We'll consider that. We can consider that.
You want to go off island, and you might have a chance. We might have a chance of cleaning it up. But now with these people that are coming from the island are good, but we don't have enough of them.
Okay. Well, the only thing is, you do a little bit today and a little bit tomorrow, and then pretty soon you got pretty good.
And we've talked about doing more of it, and we just haven't come up
But
with it.
150 feet is kind of far.
But I'm just looking at it from the standpoint of, I would like to make it so that people drive down Roseville Parkway from West River Road coming on the island, and they drive to East River Road, that what they see, looks like somebody cares.
Well, I'd be older. I see woods and fallen trees are part of woods, and I still think it's green and gorgeous, and I don't see it the same way you do.
But it's a good thing that everybody thinks the same way.
Yeah.
I just don't like it looking like nobody cares.
Sure.
But we can get the Rotary involved, the Exchange Club,
It isn't so much involved. You need
No, I mean, advertise through them, and they'll,
Again, I think this is maybe
we're
another
probably
agenda
going to
item.
have another, if we're going to have another wood cutting event this fall, which I think maybe if the committee
summertime would be better.
yeah, we should have it early in the fall.
Because then it gets wet
The
again.
ground gets muddy and everything goes through.
There'll be a lot of
Talking about
people that want to walk it.
Yeah, in the fall, I think it'd be better.
Early fall.
Yeah, early fall,
September.
start on it,
And the poison ivy's still there.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
Well, you can see it. I know it is.
I feel it too.
Lucky you.
I think we should try something. Let's try, maybe we should try it with, instead of Roseville Parkway, maybe give Meridian a chance, huh?
Yeah, that's where all the stuff is that he's talking about. It's called Meridian.
Okay.
Well, and there's another issue here. Everybody that has complained to me about fallen trees, when I go check it out, they're privately owned.
Yeah.
And so we need to have some kind of campaign with private owners.
Yeah, right.
That you've
Good
got
idea.
some responsibility to keep this island looking good.
And they may say, it's going back to nature, and it's fine.
Well, but I've heard people who didn't know any better that advocated the idea that, the leaving the trees dead and die and rot takes, 6, 8, 10, 12 years for a tree to rot up. They say that that's good because then they go back to nature. But that's okay if you're talking about a forest that's 300,000 acres or something like that. If you're talking about a place that's got a limited boundary like we have on Roseville, I don't think that's the right way to go. I think the idea is that if a tree dies and it falls down, I think that somebody should take the initiative to cut it up in the lengths and get it off the
Some
site.
folks who feel very strongly about what they do with their property being their call. So, but there's also, if you feel strongly about that, right now, the Township Board is considering a new blight ordinance, and maybe that's input you want to give to
Most of the
that?
blight ordinances are talking
I'm sorry?
about the vehicles,
Yeah,
boats,
but,
motorhomes.
nuisance is in the eye of the beholder, and maybe it should be broader than that.
Woody, do you have anything?
Yeah, let's you ask Mr. Tony Gray to have Mr. TNT give us an estimate of what it costs from Grove Road to Manchester on the...
You mean Meridian from Grove to Manchester?
How far back?
150 feet.
Oh, I don't.
You're going to see astronomical money. But I'm going to do that, we're going to do that CR to see how much it costs. It's going to cost a bunch.
It is going to cost a bunch, but
Yeah, 150 feet
but what I'm saying is if you open it up to something like the Boy Scouts or something, they could make money on it. They could make money on it. See, we work on a premise that they like to be reimbursed for your effort.
I don't, well,
Because
let's-
we rely too much on Goes Hill to get everything done for nothing.
I understand that.
It's volunteerism, that's the only thing that we rely on, volunteerism.
Yeah.
We have very little that relies.
Get the Boy Scouts.
Well, let's get
I'd like to see how much it would
Let's
cost.
get an estimate, okay?
That wouldn't hurt.
Well, I follow Art's idea. When I turn onto Hickory Circle, where we live, there's a section of open space that's, well, it's not open space, but it's township-owned. And there are trees this way and that way, and kind of an entanglement. And I go along with Pat's idea, it's natural, but I feel it should be dressed up a little bit.
Yes.
Especially when it's your first impression when
Yes.
you go down the street.
Yes,
So I'm
definitely.
not saying go way back, let that be natural, but
Well, let's get
just
an
dress it up.
advisory quote from TNT
I'd like to see what
Art's
it costs.
comment, see if there's any way that maybe the wood cutting, but what other actions can we take to improve the appearance of the main thoroughfare, such as Meridian,
Yeah.
such as Grosseal Parkway, and maybe to a lesser degree Horseshoe, but let's tackle the first thing first.
If you ever see anybody that's off the island and you see a cord of wood stacked up alongside their driveway and then they got a price on it,
Yeah.
you'll see how much money we're talking about.
Well, you're talking $55, $70.
Yeah. That's right.
Pat, you have anything?
You can do that
I have,
a good man can do that in about 6 hours.
I have nothing. Is there any, now, normally what we do is we open this up for public comment.
I have a question.
Yes.
Before you do that. What about the county's trail at the Horse Mill? Where's that going? We were
What county
talking
trail?
about,
What trail?
but when we were talking about cleaning up the woods on
Yes.
Horse Mill,
Yes.
it was my understanding that we decided that we would wait until this bike trail or whatever it was.
Yes. I don't know where we stand on that bike trail, to be honest with you. Woody?
Well, what I heard was that the price came in too steep. It would wipe out the bike trail funds.
Well, are we going to...
And there's a new bike and pedestrian commission that just got appointed last night, and they're going to meet, I believe, on the 23rd of this month,
Okay.
and get organized and...
But that's not trails.
No, but that's a bike trail.
Pedestrian.
The bike trail.
Well, what we're talking about on Horse Mill, yeah. But are you talking about the commission not being trail-related, or are you talking
I'm talking about
about...
their own,
Well, it's
a new
pedestrian.
trail, but it's
So-
different, it's a bike trail.
Well, it would be paved and bicycles would go in.
Let's put this thing in perspective. There was a proposal to put in a bike trail from Meridian all the way down Horse Mill to, I think, to
Park Lane.
at least Park Lane. Okay? Now, from on Horse Mill, it would run from Meridian on the west down to Park Lane towards the east. And it was going to be a bike trail.
Correct.
Yeah. Now, we were going to avoid doing any work in the open spaces adjacent to that location until after the bike trail was completed,
Right.
thinking that the bike trail would be completed this summer.
And it's
Well, it's not going to be.
going to be touched
Okay.
yet.
Is it going to be scratched? Is it off the table permanently, or is it just
I think
something that might happen
the
10
new
years from now?
commission, bike and pedestrian commission, they're going to decide if they're going to pursue that any further. But
that
I
their
have
first-
heard that the price came in extremely
Yeah.
over
I
budget.
also heard that they were going to shorten it up, in other words, narrow the trail down so that it would be less costly. But is that the first item on their agenda?
I don't know.
It might be something, you said they're meeting on the 23rd?
Yep.
And do you know if it's 7 o'clock or when it is?
I heard 6:30.
Okay, thank you.
6:30 on the 23rd.
There goes another, when that commission is formed, it would be nice to have a liaison on this committee, because if they're going to do something, it may affect what we're going to do, or if we're going to do it at all.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry, have we confused the issue?
No, that's what I wanted.
No more usual.
Anything else, any other public comments? Yes.
No, I've been here earlier, I want to apologize for that, it didn't work out. But as you were talking about the clearing of the land, for want of a better term, the main focus seemed to be a few things, the aesthetics of it and the cost. And it might be wise to consider that a lot of the vision are the branches on the trunks. The trunks are laying on the ground. It might be cost-effective to consider trimming the branches and running them through a wood chipper, and you could cover a lot of the aesthetics at a lower cost. The trunks would still be laying there, but what you would see as you were driving by would be reduced.
Very true.
Well, actually,
You mean cut and drop?
Yeah.
Instead of having a tree lean like this, or lean like this, if it's dead, you cut it and let it, and drop it on the ground.
And then you take the branches that would be up and visible, trim them off and run them through a wood chipper, and most of what was in the woods would be laying down on the ground, and as you were going by, not be as easily seen.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Let's have TNT quote that condition.
And then, of course, there's always my issue.
50 yards back.
150 yards, 50 feet? 150 feet back, is that what you want?
Go 50, I'd go 50, 100, and
They usually do
150.
40. That's their limit. They usually go 40.
Okay, go with 40.
Well,
They do 40 back.
Yeah, go 40.
And they clean up 40 back.
let's have do 40 and then do 100 and see what happens.
And do 100 for the estimate. Let's do 140.
Who's talking to him?
Tony
Tony
Gray.
Gray's going to talk to him.
Well, who's going to talk to Tony Gray?
I did.
I'll talk to you.
Okay. Just ask him.
But Mr. Hartley, that sounds like, that's normally, when we cut down a tree in an open space where it's not near a trail, we usually have a chop and drop policy. Now, whether that policy includes stripping the tree of the branches is another issue. But we can make that as a ballpark estimate. If you go back 40 feet, you chop down the dead trees, the ones that were leaning, and then strip off the branches.
Mulching, yeah.
I mulch them. Okay, that's
And then just so you guys understand that my concern about falling trees and the danger of people being in the open space, a tree fell in my neighbor's yard the other day and missed my house by closer than I would have liked. So I think that continues to be a legitimate concern
Was
for
that
me.
on open space property?
No, it's on private property, and
I see.
I called the neighbor, and he had it down, and I watched the wood guys take it,
Yeah.
and they chopped, as you suggested, when they got the branches off first, and then they mulched them, and there's absolutely no evidence of, they took the total tree, and it was a totally healthy tree. It was just uprooted because of big wind and too much water.
Okay.
That's happened to me a lot.
For those of you who may not be aware of it, but we have a policy with the open space, if any residents whose private property adjoins open space, if there is a tree on open space that may be in danger of life, limb, or property on private property, all one has to do is call Tony Gray, Township Office, and Tony will have somebody else there and remove that tree.
Well, let's actually go to the next section.
Where are you going to do that? Okay, we're in public comment right now. Any? No. If not, no more comments, move that we adjourn the meeting.
We better set next meeting date.
Well,
Well, I was going to request,
No. We did this one time.
well, I won't be able to be here then.
Okay. We can't keep moving meetings.
I think that, to fit the schedule of most people, we have to set on a day, on a
Okay,
specific
I'm
date.
fine.
But we did move this one, she's right.
We did move this one because everybody agreed that.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't think we should be that way. I think that we should set one date and have it, and then those who can attend will be here, those who can't attend won't be here.
We did it this time because of extenuating.
Well, if that's the case, then we shouldn't have the trail discussion until Pam's able to be present.
Okay.
Because as the township board liaison, I think that's a critical aspect of the conversation.
Right.
So we can always change the agenda, to have or not have it on.
Well, the Chinese program, they've set that date to have parents come in, and since I was a former host
You're an
parent.
Do we
asset to
have
that
a
program.
second to the motion to adjourn?
I second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Adjourned it.
Okay, now what we're going to do now is we're going to go back into executive session.
Charlie is fine.
Bill is here, so let us interview him as possible. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you
coming.
for coming out.
Okay.